Welcome to my first video. I'm Alan. The channel's called Bald Horsepower. No prizes for guessing why. And this is my 2018 OG BMW M2. I bought this car in August last year, 2023. It's currently just nipped into March 2024. So I've had it a 7 months? I can't do maths while I'm driving. I've had this for 7 months and done 8,000 miles. Now I wanted to do this video for a while, but the weather's been pants throughout the winter. So I cleaned it yesterday, inside and out, and thought, I'll go for a nice drive. The sun shines out. It's 9.5 degrees. That's mild for what we've had lately. I thought I'd bring you to this nice little country road because it's not too bumpy, it's quite flowy, it's national speed limit. Obviously we've got a school coming up, but the problem is when you find nice country roads, it's normally peppered with farms. So although the surface is nice and dry, the farmer's been out and he's brought all the mud and dust off his farm. So my nice clean car is going to be right muddy. I love this car. I love this road. I've never driven this road before, but just before I switched the cameras on, I drove up this way just to see what was around. I like it. I might have to come here again, maybe early morning. Anyway, this is a 68 plate, so it's the very last of the OG, as in original BMW M2. They stopped making on us in 2018. They started making the M2 competition in 2018. So this being a 68 plate is one of the very latest that you can get in the O2. I bought her. Got up to the speed limit quite quick then. I bought her a DCT, which is a dual clutch transmission, effectively an automatic. I am a fan of manuals. One minute. Ooh, she sounds good. I got this car with a DCT gearbox. There's a number of reasons for that. This is my daily driver. I'm going to be doing a lot of miles in this. As I mentioned, I've had it 7 months, done 8,000 miles. It's likely to be more per month than that in the future. A lot of people say the DCT gearbox isn't as engaging, and they're probably right. I'm a fan of both manuals and automatics. And I know the manual is a little bit more engaging. It doesn't mean to say the automatic is dead. But one thing I do miss on a manual is control. as in that I just feel like I've got more control of a car with the clutch pedal. But I'm going to be doing lots of miles on this, and a lot of it won't be hard driving. It'll just be cruising around, going to meetings, stuff like that. And there's one major benefit for me was on a motorway. You've got 7 gears in this gearbox, so your revs will sit lower than the 6-speed manual gearbox when you're in 6th gear. And I believe it's about 500 revs lower in the DCT because it's got 7 gears, which therefore means better fuel economy. Now I know you don't get an M2 for fuel economy, but I'm going to be driving from the northwest of England down to London, up to Scotland, across to the east coast, everything. So miles per gallon do mean a lot to me because I'm doing a lot of motorway miles. And briefly on that subject, I'm probably averaging about 33 miles to the gallon. I get about 350 mile on average to a full tank. Sometimes, well, it's normally between 300 and 400, but it does tend to average up to 350. In the future, I'll be giving you some real world usage on this car because I will be using it a lot, so I'll bring it along with me sometimes. Doesn't matter whether that's long motorway journeys, fast A and B roads, because there's plenty of them in Scotland, North Wales, Peak District, Yorkshire. I'll be going through all of them. I'd like to do some road trips as well, whether it's group road trips, BMW club road trips, you know, go to some car meets. This car's reignited my passion for cars. I'm a lover of all cars. I've had so many cars in the past, most of them being company cars, therefore not performance cars, but a lot of them have been brand new, high spec, really nice cars, and I love most of them. Why did I choose the BMW M2? Look at it. It's absolutely stunning. It's such a well proportioned car. It's fairly short wheelbase and it's wider arches at the rear. Just make it look so squat, so ready. It's a great looking car. And there's a number of cars that are in competition with this BMW M2, which do look really, really nice. But in my opinion, this is the best of the bunch. Some of them have gone a little bit too far with their styling, as in vents here and fins there and all sticky out bits, and it just looks a little bit busy, a little bit messy. And then some of them look a little bit understated, which isn't a bad thing. But when you get out your car and walk away from it and you turn around, you have that little glance back. This car definitely gives me a little tingle. I didn't go for the M2 competition for a number of reasons. I haven't driven the M2 competition, and I would like to one day just to make that comparison, but I'm a little bit nervous about making that comparison because I'm then thinking, oh shit, I want an M2 comp, but you've got to find out for yourself, haven't you? But I'm more than happy with this. It's not the quickest, it's not the quietest, it's not the comfiest, it's not the sharpest. You know, it's probably not the best at anything, but it's a bloody good all-rounder. It does everything really well. It cruises the motorway, 7th gear, 2000 revs, fairly quietly. It handles A and B roads fairly well, even though it is a stiff suspension. And you might see my jelly belly wobbling up and down a lot, but it does a great job. Fuel consumption, as I say, mentioned it before, pretty average, not bad considering it's a 3 litre turbo, straight 6, 365 horsepower. low to mid 30s on the miles per gallon. Can't argue with that. But the good thing is as I mentioned, I do a right mix of roads, A roads, B roads, motorways, dual carriageways, in cities. I was in London a few weeks ago and I curbed me bloody alloy in an underground car park. I was absolutely wounded. I got this car from a BMW dealership in Cheshire, Halliwell Jones they're called. I paid a little bit over the odds, and let's not talk about the value of these at the moment because they've plummeted since I bought it. I paid a lot more than what they're worth at the moment, but that doesn't bother me because I've no plans to get rid of this in the near future. It's a fairly well spec car. It's got the adaptive LED headlights, so it's got the Icon hexagonal day run lights, rear reversing camera, folding mirrors, heated electric memory leather seats, and this is the LCI. I think it's called Life Cycle Impulse or something like that, I can't remember. Basically a mild facelift. So it's from late 2017 I think it was. They changed the clocks, changed the headlights. I think there's a few other minor bits as well, but there's a little bit of extra carbon on the dashboard. I do like the carbon on these. It's like a bare carbon, like a raw carbon, whatever you call it. You can actually feel the weave. The only things I've done to this car since I got it was put 2 new tyres on the rear. So it came with Continental Sport Contact 2 on the front, which are a very, very old model, but the date of whatever the date on the tyre was fairly recent. It was like 2022 or something like that. Loads and loads of tread left on it. The ones at the back were Dunlop Sport Max or something crap like that. So as soon as those Dunlops worn down, which didn't take long because they didn't have too much tread on them, I swapped them out for the Continental Sport Contact 7. So I thought it'll keep some sort of fluidity with the front tyres, even though the tread patterns are completely different. And they came highly recommended. They're really, really good, really grippy. I don't drive this car extremely hard. I just like getting to the speed limit quite quick. And the reason why I don't tend to break the speed limit is up until very recently I had 9 points on my licence. And let's not talk about my insurance policy, eh? I was going to turn right here and the bloody police have closed the road. Here we. Feel free to laugh, but my previous car was a Tesla Model 3. 2021, 71 plate. So, and the car before that, I only had it 6 months, the car before that was a 71 plate BMW 330e. So I'm quite used to having fairly new cars with new technology and plenty of extras and all that palaver. The interior of those two cars made this look like a dinosaur. But for years I never liked BMW interiors until they changed it very recently, i.e. the 2021 3 Series I had. But I'm growing to like this now because so many modern cars are trying to outdo each other on these more modern interiors with no buttons and everything has to go through the screen and all that stuff. I like this functional, simplistic, older style interior now. Whilst I don't dislike the seats in this car, it is the cheaper leather, the Dakota leather. They are the M Light seats rather than specific M seats. And whilst I don't track this car, I do plan to potentially have a little dabble at some tracks in the near future. But these seats are pretty good. I've done London and back in a day, not a problem. I've done Edinburgh and back in 2 days, but that was a fair old trek that. I'm heading up to north of Edinburgh next month, and I've no doubt my back will be absolutely fine on them. If you want to see me take some nice roads up in Scotland, weather pending, stick around, hit the subscribe button. God, first video when I'm already saying subscribe, subscribe. You do what you like. If you like it, you'll subscribe yourself anyway. That's another thing I've had done. CarPlay. I did 2 or 3 months in this car with the standard sat-nav. You can stream your music via Bluetooth. It's got a decent sat-nav system, and I did pay to have the live traffic from BMW. I think it was on a Black Friday sale, and it was about 15 quid cheaper than it normally is. And whilst the sat-nav is pretty good, dead easy to use via the central wheel and the console here, and you can get it with like a Google Maps satellite image. Sometimes in the countryside it really struggles, it just doesn't like what you're doing. One thing that made me get Apple CarPlay was someone sent me a Google pin to where they were one day, and I couldn't follow it. I had to then pull over and all kinds and find out the postcode of where he sent me a pin to, and it was just a nightmare. So yeah, I got I got the Apple CarPlay sorted. I think it was like 120 quid, including the antenna fitted by some guy local to us. So yeah, no complaints. I've just realised that the little GoPro I had facing forward doesn't look like it was recording. I hate these camera lark. The main reason I wanted to get out today was, well, obviously it's a sunny night, sunny day, get out for a nice drive, but I just wanted to introduce myself. I've been planning to do this first video since before I got the car, and it's took me all this time. One of the other reasons was to just kind of test out different microphones. I did try to do this video a couple of months ago, and it was absolutely freezing. I think the tyres were like -8. The first time I attempted to do one of these videos, I had a little wireless microphone. It didn't record. Then when I did it, it was perfectly audible, my voice, but you couldn't hear the car. So I've put a shotgun mic on just to see, can you see that mic? And you can see the bloody mic in the lens. Anyway, and if you want to see more of this car, real world usage, stick around. One thing I did forget to mention was the cold start on this. I reversed this on my driveway up to the garage, the back to facing towards the garage, so there's a nice little tinny echo for the neighbours in the morning. I took a video clip a few months ago when I tried to do this video originally in the winter. It doesn't half sound good when it starts up.
In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto Shays Lane. In a quarter of a mile, turn right onto Shop Lane.
A question for you all. The only issue I have with this car so far, apart from the fact the insurance cost a fucking fortune, is the brakes. Brakes are good, but when I test drove this car, it had brake shudder. So I said to the dealership, BMW dealership, look, it's got real brake shudder going on. They came back and he went, yeah, no problem. We've put new pads and discs on the front. So I drove it for good 1,000, 2,000 miles afterwards, and it was absolutely fine. Great. Over time, it started to become shuddery again. Now someone said to me, it's the brake pads. So when you get the brakes hot, and then you stop at the lights, for instance, with your feet on the brake, the compound of the brake pads bake onto the discs and cause little imperfections in the surface of the brake disc, therefore creating wobble. Makes perfect sense. Every time I try and go out to try and get up to the national speed limit and slam on 3 or 4 or 5 times or whatever it is, a number of people have mentioned that that's what you should do to fix it. Question is, has anyone had the same problem? And if you did do the brake test and got rid of the shudderiness, did it come back? You know, a month, 2 months, 3 months later or whatever. And if anybody did have that issue with the brake shudder, did you change the brake pads? Because I believe it's not the discs that have problems, it's the pads. Did you change the brake pads to something else and eradicate the issue? And if you did, what brake pads did you use? Because I'm quite interested to hear what your thoughts are regarding normal road use brake pads. Now granted, I'm not going to need new brake pads on this for a while, because it had new pads, what, 7,000 miles, 8,000 miles ago. I've got it booked in for the service next week. It was actually serviced 12,000 miles ago. Now I know the service intervals recommend 20,000 miles, but that's not me. That I want to do it every 10,000 miles. So I've got it booked in with a BMW. Fucking hell. I've got it booked in with a BMW specialist next week, and he comes very highly recommended. DRW Performance. It's only about 20 minutes from my house. I'm also getting the alignment done on this as well, because on certain country roads, little bumps and that, it just feels a little bit unsettled. So I don't know whether someone's had it set up badly in the past or what, so I've asked him to do that. I think it's about a couple £100 to get it done. But it's nice to know that it's set up right, especially for summer driving around the B roads and that.